On today's episode of the Gripe Session, we are bringing you another guest from that 1986 World Champion New York Mets team. And this guy, you might have heard of him because he hit a little bit of a ground ball.
It's Gripe Session time with your host, George Wanaka.
It's about nothing.
Discussing everything from real estate, current events, a little bit of everything, and the annoying little things that just tick you off.
You can't handle the truth.
What? You didn't know?
Here's your host, George Wanaka.
Your ass better call somebody.
So it's my honor today to be able to sit down and have this conversation with a member of the 1986 New York Mets, outfielder Mookie Wilson. Just to give you a little bit of info on Mookie before we start the interview, Mookie is one of the most kindest ball players that I've ever come across. He was more than willing to do the podcast and do the interview for me, which was just tremendous. I obviously met Mookie like Doc Gooden, for those of you that listen to this, at Mets Fantasy Camp. And Mookie was just such a down-to-earth, regular guy that I as soon as I started talking to him, I said, this is something that I hope my listeners are going to love to hear and just love to hear his perspectives. And without any further ado, I'm giving you Mookie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am actually honored and privileged to be sitting with a guy that I followed as a young lad, and I'm down here at Mets Fantasy Camp, and one of my favorite teams, the Mets, as everyone knows. And I'm sitting here with Mookie Wilson, and as a member of as a guest of the Gripe Session. Mook, thanks for coming on, pal.
Yeah, man. Thanks, George.
I appreciate you coming. So, for those of people that don't know a little bit about your career, just give everybody a little bit of information on how you started and what you think, and kind of go from there.
Well, my baseball goes back a long ways. I signed with the Mets in 1977. I was drafted out of the University of South Carolina. Played 3 years in the minor leagues. Okay. 1 year in Wausau, Wisconsin, 1 year in Jackson, Mississippi, and a year in Norfolk, Virginia. The team was called Tidewater at times. And I joined the Major League Club in September of 1980. And I've been up with the Mets for about 10 years. Oklahoma won World Series in 1986.
Yeah,
but some lane years before that. Now, we had some lane years before that.
True.
But it was all good. It was all good. A great learning time for me, and many of the young ball players played in New York. But after 86, I stayed with the team for another couple of years. And then I was traded to the Toronto Blue Jays in 1989, August of 1989. Played with the Toronto Blue Jays for 2 years. And I retired. My last year playing was 91, and I officially retired in 1992. Became a coach, and coach minor leagues for a couple of years. Then I was brought back to the big leagues as first base coach, outfield instructor with Bobby Valentine. Stayed there until Bobby left. And then when Bobby left, I left. But let's say I got reassigned. Okay. Reassigned is a nice way of saying you're fired. Nice way of saying you take it away.
Exactly.
But it was all good. It was all good. And I ended up coming back to the minor leagues as a manager. Okay. So I managed in the minor leagues for 3 years. Went back to the big leagues under new manager Terry Collins. That lasted 1 year. Very short time. And now I am a team ambassador, which is pretty much his public relations, and this is what I do now.
Great. That's terrific. Yeah. So, obviously, everyone knows you're infamous with the 86 Mets. Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about that team and that year for us diehards. That's obviously the last time we won a World Championship. Tell me a little bit about that team and the dynamics and that sort of thing.
Well, I think that people have read so much about the 86 team that I think what gets lost in the whole conversation is how good that team really, really was. Mm-hmm. We won 108 ball games, but I'm talking beyond that point. these guys, they're very close, and they're dear friends of mine to this very day. We were very, very, very close. And I think that was part of what made us such a good team. Per man, I think that other teams may have been more talented in depth.
Okay.
But we were truly a team. There's a bond that we have that was second to none. I haven't seen that in a ball club, in any other ball club that I've been around. And they're great guys. A lot of them babysit my son when we played.
That's great.
And that's just the kind of team that they really were. I'm not saying they didn't do some nutty things. I'm not going to sit here and try to defend all that.
Listen, we all do some nutty things at some point. I mean, listen, I talked to my teammates this week. They tell you some of the nutty stuff we've been doing.
But they were good guys. They were really, really, really good guys, and I love them to death.
Yeah, that's terrific. That's terrific. So obviously, a lot of what you're known for is Game 6, and I asked you this question the other day. So prior to the ball being hit, when you got out of the way, what was the first thing that was kind of going through your head? What did you want to do, and what was your approach at that at bat?
My approach at that was really, first of all, I was very surprised I even got a chance to hit the way things that was turning out. But once I got an opportunity to hit, I just didn't want to make the last out. Because the guys before me, we know that 2 strikes, base hit, 2 strikes, base hit, 2 strikes, base hit. I did not want to be the guy to make that last out, in all honesty. But the Boston Red Sox let me off the hook. All right, the wild pitch, the score is tied. Now I'm changing. My attitude is changing. Now it's not, hey, I got a chance to win this thing now.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I can't lose it. I can no longer be the GOAT, making the last out in the World Series. I can only win. I'm playing with house money now.
I got you.
So I'm a lot more relaxed. So now I'm just saying, just put the ball in play. I went from, not making the last out, put the ball in play. If you make the last out, guess what? We're still in the
game. Yeah, so I remember one of the things that I had read about that 86 team was the one thing is like this guy didn't want to make the last out. I didn't want to make the last out. And I want to make the last out. So I hear that now and I smile a little bit. And I'm like, I remember reading and hearing about that in interviews and things of that nature. So that's awesome. So I guess the question, because I coach a lot of teams in basketball and baseball and things of that nature. And what would be your advice to kids and parents who like the game of baseball or basketball, whatever it happens to be, and want to take the next step level? What advice would you give to them as far as working and things of that nature?
Well, my advice is twofold. I have the advice for the kids and advice for the parents because it's totally different the way they're approaching the baseball careers of the kids. First to the parents, my advice to them: practice is good, playing is good, baseball's giving repetition, but there's also time to rest. They need to give their bodies a chance to unwind and regenerate, for lack of a better term. Particularly if a kid plays multi-sports, you play a lot of summer ball, then play a lot of travel ball. Yeah. Some kids play on 2 travel teams and all kinds of stuff. And I'm speaking from experience because some players we get and we sign, they are worn out when we get them. And that becomes a problem. Mm-hmm. You see a lot of injuries. We have kids pitching 1 year in the minor leagues. They got to have surgery because the arm is already shot before they even sign. Yeah. In that time. So be careful with that. Just a caution in everything. I know kids want to play. They're gonna always want to go out and play. But parents, you have the control over that, so you can kind of limit how many pitches they throw, limit how much they play, and make sure that they're getting rest and they're eating well, and their workout program has to be a workout program specifically designed for their particular body type. One size don't fit all.
No,
in baseball,
absolutely not.
And stuff like that. And now, as far as the player themselves, the kids, learn about yourselves. Don't restrict yourself to be a one-position player. Play them all. Play them all. When I was coming up through, I was mainly a pitcher. I pitched all through high school, pitched in college, and I haven't pitched out 1 inning in pro ball. And so don't restrict yourself to being that player. This is all I can play. This is all I've ever played. Be as versatile as you possibly can. It gives you a better opportunity to play on a team because you're versatile. You become 2 for 1 or 3 for 1, and that's a coach's dream to have a player that can play multiple positions.
You can put them wherever you want.
Wherever you want them, and there's value in that on any level, on any team.
Yeah, one of the things I've been telling my son is that he's a lefty, so he's got 3 spots on that field traditionally. An outfielder, a first base, or a pitcher. I'm like, but listen, if any coach wants to throw you out and throw you at a different position, he goes, I love it. I go. He goes, where they put me, I go. And I'm like, that's the attitude you want to have nowadays, unfortunately.
Well, the thing I've heard, and I've heard this with a lot of parents, they say, well, my son's a shortstop. My son's a right fielder. My son's a pitcher. And that's where he needs to play. Well, there again, that's the parents living that dream.
Yeah.
Don't restrict your children to that. Give them an opportunity to find out who they are. Let them find out who they are, and you never know. They would love the game a lot. It'd be a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Be a lot more fun.
Yeah. So, okay. So I appreciate the spending a couple of minutes with me, Mook. The last thing that I ask everybody, or that's the new part of the Gripe Session, which is, what is the one thing that people do nowadays that just agitates you to the point of saying, man, like, what are you thinking about? Like, when you do that kind of stuff, like the one thing that you sit back, like, it could be somebody parking in 2 spots in a parking lot or something like that. So what's this person thinking? What's the one thing that agitates Mookie Wilson?
The one thing that agitates me, and it's not just on baseball, it's everything. People get upset about some of the most meaningless, trivial things, and it just ruins their day. That bothers me. That bothers me. I mean, there's nothing that happens that drastic that's going to ruin my day. And when I see people get all upset because someone is parking 2 spots, or even playing the game and someone makes an out that, or probably was a dumb play or something like that, and it ruins the day. Life is really not complicated. We make it complicated.
Oh, yeah.
Because our expectations is all about pleasing us.
True.
That's what I expect. Yeah, that's what it is.
That's what it boils down to.
That's what it boils down to.
You're right.
If it doesn't live up to my expectation, then guess what? I'm ruined. My day is gone. And I would like people to just relax more and live life as if every day is just, hey, I'm just honored to be here.
Yeah. Every day is a blessing. And it's either a blessing or a lesson. It's one or the other.
Yeah, one or two.
One or two. And guess what? At the end of the day, we're up here. We're living. Yeah. If you think about it, and I coincidentally, it's actually funny that you even said that because Doc said the exact same thing. I had Doc on here in a previous episode, and one of the things Doc said was almost verbatim what you just said. And I said one of the things is you think about the odds of us being here just in general, just being a person. Yeah. It's like 4 billion to 1. Yeah. So it's like, what do I have to be? Listen, the fact I'm sitting here with you is tremendous, but the fact I'm even sitting here, period, is even, the odds on that are even unbelievable. So, but I appreciate you taking a couple minutes to come and hang out. I appreciate everything you guys, the coaches, did this week in camp. And listen, I appreciate you, and thanks for the childhood memories. They were awesome.
I mean, I tell you, it's been a great week.
Yep, absolutely.
It's been a great week. Just meeting the people down here and talking baseball.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun. And I must tell you, the session, the Gripe Session. This is
the Gripe Session.
The Gripe Session.
The Gripe Session.
Oh,
I love it. It's awesome. I tell you, it's funny you say that because there's so many people go, the Gripe Session. It's so negative, and I'm like, listen to it. Listen to it. It ain't all negative. And then when you actually throw it out there and you go listen to it, I'm like, oh, no, it's not negative. It's like I'm poking fun at this, I'm poking fun at that. Hell, half the time I'm poking fun at myself. And I'm like, it was a catchy thing that started with George, and what was something that was close to, gripe. It's a bitch session or whatever you want to call it. I'm like, the gripe is easier.
So let's think we are. we are complainers by nature.
That's it. That's it.
We're complainers by nature.
And people want to hear sometimes like, oh, well, what makes this guy tick or what makes that guy tick? And you know what? At the end of the day, the good thing about like the internet and podcasts like this is that when people actually see you and they meet you, they know, man, I listen to his stuff. He's the same guy here that he is in person. And that's the thing. That's where social media comes into it, and that's where everything comes out. And, again, I really appreciate you taking a couple minutes to come and hang and have a couple minutes with me, and I appreciate everything you did this week, Mook.
Hey, man, thank you. Now, it's been a nice ride.
It's been
really
pleasure.
Fun. It's been fun.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a true legend of this game. Obviously, a legend of the New York Mets. Incredible guy. Just an absolute joy to be around, and I was glad to be able to spend a few minutes with Mookie and just talking about, baseball after the interview, the wealth of knowledge, and just fun-loving guy that Mookie is. It was my real and undistinct pleasure, or indistinct pleasure. I get tongue-tied on occasion. That's the kind of impression these guys have been leaving on me. So. Thank you, Mookie, again for the sitting down with me. I really appreciate that. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the interview as well. Please feel free to hit that subscribe button if you're listening on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and/or Stitcher. Please feel free to follow me as well on Instagram at GS Wanaka and also at Search Staten Island. I'm also on Facebook at GS Wanaka. Georgia Swanica at Search Staten Island. You can find me everywhere because I'm pretty much everywhere. And if you don't know, Google me, baby. Google me. So anyway, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next edition of the Gripe Session. Take care, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Gripe Session. Please follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.